And good morning and welcome to a Tadpoll for a Thursday morning. We have a busy one this morning. Bill Schick will be talking to Bill in just a moment. And he's going to play something for us on the Bell Choir. They have that coming up. Thanks for coming in, Bill. We appreciate it. Busy day today. You're going to be doing track, this morning? Middle school and this afternoon high school track?
Middle school also.
Okay, wow. So a lot of things going on. Also, we have coming in Sherry Buss from the Hanson Museum. Robin and Frank Burwell and Zane Hawley from Delirium Workshop that's coming up tonight. Micah Carey on the senior solutions for us old people. Also, we'll have Eldine Holthus and Mitch Holthus is going to be joining us this morning. Voice for a long time of the Kansas State Wildcats and now for the Chiefs. He's going to be coming on. So Mitch will be here talking about the event they have coming up this weekend in Smith Center as part of the Home on the Range. Nick Pohl said he'd come on and talk a little bit about what's going on with the on proper etiquette and so on to be a good worker and so on, phone and so on. He's coming on to talk about that. I think Angie Wells, I'm sure, is going to be stopping by. So we have a very, very busy morning, and I know that you have to get out and get going, Bill. So let's talk two things. First, the band director, and you did well at Oberlin on Saturday.
That's right. We went out to Oberlin. We had 11 events. We qualified 10 of those for state.
Wow. Where's state going to be?
State will be April the 28th at southeast of Salina, Gibson.
Okay, all
That's
right.
where all the 3A schools go.
You remember? You have how you did on that?
Yes, I do.
There people.
And I'll go ahead with the first
Sure.
divisions, and I'll give the choir ones also.
Okay.
And the amendment they qualified. The amendment women qualified. Then we had a flute trio that qualified, a percussion ensemble that qualified, and then on trap sets was Kirk Coombs and Quentin Conrad, Gracie Dibble, a vocal solo, Zoe Dinkle, she's a freshman, qualified in 2 events, alto saxophone and vocal, Conley Huguenin qualified on his trumpet, Ashlyn Kennedy on the flute, and Jack Pockabear, a senior, qualified in 2 events, a trumpet and his vocal solo. And then we had 2 tuba solos, Noah Peak and Cole Wenzel. So
Wow.
They just did a tremendous
That's
job.
great. He had a great job. A lot of people are going to be going down to Southeast
Yes.
Saline down there. Okay, now the reason, main why you wanted to come on was to talk about. You need a mic on. There, I think is that better there. I think we've got.
Okay.
You have your mic on. Okay. Did we get all that though? Okay. All right. It sounds better now though. I'm sure. All right.
Okay.
The reason why I wanted you on, Bill, is talk a little bit about coming this Sunday night at the Huck Boyd 7:00 Bell Choir. Now I saw Bell Choir. I thought they'd be bells, but is this a new way of doing it?
Well, what we have here out at Stuttgart is we have tone chimes, and the other groups that's going to be performing, they have the actual handbells.
Okay.
And then we had tone chimes, and when I lived in Plainville, a lady had saw these on a Christmas program, and thought maybe we could get them for our church, and so we went ahead and got them. And then when I moved up here to Phillipsburg, then we purchased them for out there at Stuttgart. And the main reason is we got them; they're a lot cheaper than the handbells. The handbells are very expensive.
I bet they are. Right.
And so anyhow, I thought I'd bring a couple of them along just to show you what they are. And this is the smallest one, and you have to hit them really hard, and you just go like that, and that's what makes the sound.
Wow.
And then we have some that are a little bit bigger than this, but this is the big one here, and that gives you your low sound.
Wow, does that pick that up? Can you hear that? Do that again. That's neat. Yeah. So that's how they play it. Then they go back and forth. Wow.
And most of the people, and this is with the bells also, they usually do about 3 notes is what they play. And with the littler ones and the bigger ones, they play a few more, but that's about how they play. And they mark all the music, circle what notes they're supposed to play on their music, so they know when they're supposed to come in and when to play.
E, okay, bring that C. What is that?
This is a high C.
Wow, that is.
That's pretty high tone.
Did that come through at all? Could you hear that? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Okay.
And this is the 3rd annual time that we've had this bell and chime choir. And Robert Roth, he taught here 3 years ago, and he started the bell choir back up at the Methodist Church, and he thought it would be good to have a concert, and so he asked me about if Sturgis would like to do that in Emmanuel, and we said yeah. And then I knew that Kensington had a bell choir over there, so we asked them if they could play. So the first year it was us three, and then Logan got a hold of us and said we'd like to come over and play. So last year Logan played, and then when I was at the middle school music contest, David Will, he's retired band director at Norton, and he says, what's it take for us to come over? So this year Norton is going to be coming over, and so it'll be the Emmanuel Lutheran Church, our chime choir, the Logan United Methodist Church Bell Choir, the Phillipsburg United Methodist Bell Choir, the Norton United Methodist Church Bell Choir, and then St. John Lutheran Church Bell Choir. And when each group will play 2 or 3 songs by themselves, and then we're going to put everybody together at the end and play 3 songs. And when we put everybody together, we'll have 57 people on the stage. And Friday night is the first time we're going to practice together as a group, and then we'll practice about 6 o'clock on Sunday, and that's the only time we have to do it together. And I've been over to St. John and listened to them, and then went over to Norton to sort of make sure that we've got all our tempos going. And Sue Jackson, she plays in the Emmanuel Lutheran at Sturgis Bell Choir, and she also plays in Logan, so so we've got connection there. And then I visited with Phillipsburg, and they thought they had everything together where we put it together. So it takes probably we'll practice about an hour on Friday night, and then about 15-20 minutes on Sunday, and put everything together.
Well, that sounds like things are, and it's 7 o'clock, and it's free, and just go out.
Absolutely.
Great, every time I talk about the Huck Boyd building out there, we were so fortunate to have that building, of course. And you, of course, go out and do the conducting out there a lot of times with the railroad.
Yes.
You're a conductor on the railroad out there, which is another super thing. They had something last week out there for the chamber.
For the chamber, yeah.
And I don't know how you don't keep track of all those switches and everything when you run those trains. It's amazing.
You have to practice. You have to practice a lot.
Okay, so everyone's invited to come out. That's Sunday night, and that'll be at 7 o'clock. Huck Boyd, just go out and comfortable seats and just enjoy something locally good music. People say, well, we sure more things going on. There's all things going on all the time around
and
here.
It'll be sacred music, plus some songs will be secular music.
Sure,
so we got a wide variety of music to play.
And they don't have you on next week to talk about all the concerts. You have a bunch of concerts coming up.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So you have the high school, and you have the middle school, then you have the 5th and 6th grade.
5th and 6th grade concert.
So you have a lot of concerts. How do you keep it separate?
Huh? I just know what I'm doing.
I've got to ask you, are you going to have your jazz group?
The jazz group is going to be playing.
At the end, that jazz group, and I just love the music that you do. And I went to the one you had in January, and I loved all the music you have on there.
And we could go out right now and play our concerts. We've got all of the groups are ready to play, so it's really exciting.
When Bill mentioned that when he was at Plainville, he called me one day and they were going down to what bowl was it?
Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl. And because I'd gone down when you were in high school to the Orange Bowl with the band, my son, and I did reports from down there, and you called me and said, you want to go down to the Plainville band? I said, yeah. So we had a ball down.
It was a great time, yes.
Good time. Okay. Anything else, Bill?
No, I think that about covers it, but just come out and enjoy. It's really unique music that we'll be playing.
And you have to go out and help with the track meet now, right?
That's right where I'm headed.
10 o'clock, is that when it starts?
That's when it starts,
All right, so go on out and watch track today if you want to. Just keep watching this, and then when we're through, you can go out and see what's going on. Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed. Known Bill for a long, long time. Do appreciate his help in coming on here and telling us about the Bell Choir program coming up Sunday night. We're going to be, I don't know who we have coming in there next. We open the magic door to find out who our next guest will be. We'll find out in a minute. I remind you that the Tadpoll brought to you by the First National Bank and Trust, proudly supporting Panther Athletics. From the sales floor to your delivery door, see Jim and Terry at Olive Bowie Furniture and Appliance, where they provide gracious living for less. Sternburst Realty LLC, where you find the best homes under the sun. Professional Family Eye Care, see Dr. Gilman for all of your eye care needs. Coombs Trucking, You Call, We Haul. Wyman Firestone, Tire Sales and Service, backing the youth of Phillips County. Biggs Insurance, for all your auto, home, business, and farm insurance needs. And these sponsors make it possible for us to come here every Thursday morning and do this, and of course on Saturday morning on the Sports Talk. Okay. Hi, Micah.
Hi, Dad.
How
nice
are you?
to see you. Good.
Nice seeing you. We're here to talk about old. See, I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm old, so I can talk about it.
Sure.
I can say they're old people
Yeah.
because I'm part of that.
Yeah.
Now, if I was 40, I wouldn't dare say that, would I?
Exactly.
Senior citizens, more
Yes.
or less. We're here to talk about I have you as Senior Solutions, right?
Yes.
Is that okay? Now,
Yep.
So what's this? First, you're at the hospital, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's your job at the hospital?
Okay, so I am the program director for Senior Life Solutions.
Okay.
We just opened March 16th at the hospital.
Oh, wow. So you're just something new.
Yes, we are.
Okay, now what's Senior Solutions all about?
So Senior Life Solutions is an intensive outpatient program designed to meet the needs of our elderly in our community, those over 65 that are struggling just with everyday happenings of aging. It might be anxiety or depression, loss of a loved one, loss of a spouse. Your kids are growing older, so they
Sure,
don't depend
yeah,
on
that's
you as
right.
much. You depend more on them.
Sure,
Those types of things.
Okay, so is it you do individually, or how do you get involved with the people?
So we are a self-referral. There's no doctor order needed. We have our flyers up all around town and stuff. So if you know someone or someone in church, anything like that, or someone can self-refer, you can call me as well. So that's how it happens is they just call and say, hey, I think so-and-so might be good for your program. And then we'll reach out to them and meet with them, and I'll go see them at their home and explain what our program is to see if they'd be
Okay.
interested in it.
So I know that's probably pretty involved, but what's the program include? I mean,
So
you come and look and see how they're living, or is that in home kind of, or is it a different thing?
So first I make the initial visit by going to their home,
Okay.
just to meet with them and kind of get to know them and explain our program and discuss what's going on in their life. And then if they agree they'd like to start a program, because it's completely voluntary, absolutely. And so
Sure.
they come to the hospital for our program. Our program is 3 days a week. We start out 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from about 9 o'clock to 12:30, and they come to what we call group discussion. And so there's other members, other elderly in there that they can discuss what they're going through. Our therapist, Katie Heinzen, leads the group.
Sure.
And so they just talk about what's going on in their life, and Katie helps them to develop coping skills to deal with what they're going through. And then they also get to meet with Katie for individual sessions, so they can discuss something that they might not be comfortable discussing in front of other group members.
At what age you started?
It's typically 65,
Okay.
but there are some of those people that are living that senior lifestyle that are a little bit younger, and so they're eligible as well.
Okay, so all right, so I'm really eligible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if I do you find out the referrals are more, because a lot of people are really proud
Absolutely.
and they don't, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So a lot of referrals by maybe their neighbor or someone in the family
Or
gets to
their,
go that way.
yeah, or their healthcare provider or their pastor and stuff. And a lot of people might not know that they're struggling with something like depression because they think it's a normal part of aging,
Sure.
and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it can be, your symptoms could be you're really tired, which you might attribute just to aging, or you're feeling really sad, you're not eating as much, or you're eating a lot, those types of things. You're having trouble taking your medications or remembering to take them, that types of stuff.
Okay. I never thought I have trouble with medications a lot of times. So
Yeah.
I put it out there. It's amazing because you just don't, you forget to do it,
Absolutely.
and it goes by the wayside. So, so what are the classes involved in? Is it a class or?
We call it group session, and
Okay,
so
okay.
they just discuss, sitting with people that you probably do know from in the community,
Sure.
because they're around your age, and just discussing. Katie will present topics, and you'll discuss that topic and what your feelings are on it, and maybe something that you've experienced about. And one thing that I like to include is that people say, well, I might not get, this might not be for me, or I might not get much out of it, but I always like to include, you might be able to help someone else
Sure.
because you've gone through
How
it
you've
too.
gone through that situation.
Absolutely.
In the wintertime, is it depressing? I've always heard there's a lot worse in the winter because you can't
Absolutely.
get out in the
Yeah.
sun and all that.
Yeah,
shorter
and
days.
especially those older people that don't want to get out in the bad weather or they can't drive anymore, so they're
Sure.
kind of shut in and they don't have any human contact or communication. So that's definitely worse during the winter months.
So, is there any charge for this? Is there cost?
So we do accept insurances, and so that's one of the things that we do when we're referred is we go ahead and check their insurances and see if it would be covered.
Covers that,
Yeah.
Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting involved at all with the new Medicare cards, or do you know much about the new cards that are
Yeah,
coming
so
out?
the new cards will be coming out. I believe they started this April and they'll go through April 2019. And what they are is that it's like a jumbled mix of letters and numbers. So your social security number won't be on there anymore. So a lot of people are worried about getting their cards. So,
Sure.
if you live with a spouse and your spouse gets yours first, like yours is coming, it might take up to a year because a lot of cards need to be mailed
Sure.
out.
Oh,
so.
yeah, there's a lot of cards
Yeah.
out there. I'm going to hate that, though, because Social Security number, it's on there. And
I know,
so
it's
I
easy.
can always easy to do that. And I
Yeah.
don't have any idea where my real Social Security card
Yeah.
is. It's somewhere out there. I know where it is. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so is there since you just started it, or you plan on this to be a year-round thing?
Yeah, so it's
Because
continuous.
there's always people coming in.
Absolutely. So we can have a max of 10 patients in our program because the Kansas law is 10 patients to one therapist.
Okay.
So once we reach 10, then we'll start a waiting list. And after so many months of having a waiting list, we can look at opening up a second track and getting a second
Sure.
therapist in
Wow.
there. So, but it kind of varies. The program lasts as long as the member needs it. So as long as they're still struggling with those issues, they can stay in our program. But it's completely voluntary. They can quit at any time they want if they decide it's not for them. But we have new members
Sure.
going all the time and new members leaving all the time too.
Do you find out that you learn, like maybe someone has preliminary Alzheimer's or dementia problems? Does this help you discover things like this when you have the class? Can you discover that so maybe they can get the help they need there?
So, well, some signs of depression can be, memory loss, or they're forgetting things just because they've got a lot going on. So we find that when they work on those coping skills and they deal with those life things that they're going through, their memory improves. Now, if it is like a permanent, like Alzheimer's or depression,
Sure.
We'll refer them to other sources that
Sure,
can help them
well,
because they have to be
right.
able to remember the coping skills.
Right. Okay. Is it normal? I'm going to ask this. Is it normal as you age for your memory maybe to slip a little bit? I mean, is that just
Absolutely.
people worry about am I getting
Yes.
something? But
Yeah.
it's a
It's
thing
normal.
of age. Okay.
Your brain's not firing as quickly as it used to when you
Sure.
were younger, and so it's completely normal to be a little bit forgetful as you age.
At these classes, do you talk about that and
Yes.
how to?
Yep.
Can you improve your memory by doing things?
Yeah, there's certain things, like keeping your brain active by like doing Sudoku puzzles or reading books or those types of things keeps your brain active and keeps it functioning fastly. So
You see all these things on TV about these amazing medicines you can take. I kind of wonder. I want to ask you to comment on that, but I wonder, are they really that amazing to do all this kind
Sure.
of stuff? But names and so on, that they just aren't. A lot of
Yeah.
things just aren't. And there's some of the short term and long term. I can remember back when I was 5 years old, but
Absolutely, yep.
sometimes something had happened. What did I have for dinner yesterday? That
yeah,
kind of thing.
they're stored in different parts, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to remember different things.
Okay, so if someone's out there and maybe I'll do this, or I know someone that could probably use this,
Absolutely.
what do they do then? What do they
All they have to do is call the hospital. You can call the direct line and ask for Senior Life Solutions, and they'll get you to me or Destiny, our office coordinator. Or our direct number is 540-4992. So that'll get you directly to us.
right in? And
Yep.
And you say you have 3 classes. Now, what are the classes run from? when to when?
So from about 9 to 12:30
Oh, wow.
on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then it doesn't always happen on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Like as they're progressing in the program, they titrate down to 2 days a week and then 1 day a week and then eventually graduate the program.
Do you kind of go into the home and assess what they need? And
Yeah,
everything?
yeah, that's why I like to go out to their home to make the initial contact because I like to see how they're doing at home and really talk to them in a comfortable environment to get to know them first to
Sure,
establish that
right,
relationship.
right. It's not quite as, maybe as sterile may not be the right
Yeah.
word for it.
No,
but
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
More of a
it's-
comfortable setting.
Sure to sit down and,
Yeah.
look at the pictures around the house and everything.
That's
like that,
absolutely
you know.
right. And I get to know them and a little bit about their family and their history and stuff.
Yeah, how
So.
long have you been doing this?
Well, so we just opened up our program March 16th, but I've been a nurse for 5 years.
That's what my question.
Yep.
So if you, where were you before here? Were you out here?
I was,
doing other
yep.
things, though?
Yep,
But
I
you just-
started at the hospital as an aide and then eventually a nurse, and
Wow.
I've worked many roles there. I worked, on the floor as an RN. I worked in the clinic as an RN, the ER, and then this role. So
Okay, wow. So you've moved up. And
yeah, I've done a little bit of everything.
That's great, and I know because you're doing it, you really see a lot of satisfaction in helping the people. and
Absolutely.
everything.
It's great to see our members improve. And one of the best things I've heard so far is our members say we feel it's a safe place to discuss things that might not be comfortable discussing at coffee. You don't want to talk about how you lost your spouse and how sad you are at coffee because
Which brings to mind the question.
yeah.
All this privacy stuff. Did anything you talk about in there?
It is
stays
secure.
there?
Yep. We sign confidentiality forms, and it's whatever's said in there is private. No one else can
Sure,
know,
yeah.
and group members will honor that because you hear what they say, but they hear what you
Sure,
say.
yeah,
So
yeah,
treat
okay.
others as you want to be treated.
I wish someone had some influence to get us so we can find out who's in the hospital ladder. We used to be able to.
I
You
know.
didn't know who was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Your best friend may be in the hospital for a week before you know it because the word doesn't get out. And I know that's it's a federal thing.
Yeah.
And all it has to do with. Someone said Nancy Kassebaum had something to do with that, but I don't know. So is that a little bit of a problem sometimes? The confidentiality.
I don't.
That's always in the back of your mind, I'm sure.
It is, yeah. You have to be very careful about what you say, but we're really confidential, and if someone, it's okay if the group member tells their friend about it.
Sure.
That's okay. I just can't say, hey, your friend so and so's in the program. I
Yeah,
think you'd like
sure.
to try it. So
Okay. Well, very good. Well,
Yeah.
that's great. Just what's your phone number again? You can call.
540-4992.
Or if they don't get that, just look at and they go
The
to
regular
5226
hospital number,
or whatever.
the
right?
5226
Yeah.
at the hospital. Yep, and
And
they'll get you to
they'll
us.
get to you, right?
Absolutely,
Okay. How
yes.
it used to have room still, or is there a waiting
Absolutely.
list?
Nope, we have room.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
very good. That's a great idea here. And
Yeah.
you can't be too old to take it, can you?
No, no such thing.
Okay. Thank you for
Thanks
coming
so
on.
much, Tad.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, thanks
Okay.
so much for having me.
Well, thank you, and you might be seeing me out there.
Hey, we'd love to have you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, appreciate Micah coming in or talking about the senior solutions. Great idea, and to learn more about it, you can do your by contacting them. Okay, we're going to go on here. Okay. Good morning. All right, the Holtz is here, so come on in, Jane. Hi there. Hi there. I see you out there, don't I?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes you do.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Tad.
I'm Robin.
And Jay knows who I am. Okay.
I know Tad.
Okay. No, it's amazing. I just had Mike on. That's one thing going on in the hospital. They have this step-up program that's going on in the hospital. You're coming here to talk about these things. There are really things going on at the hospital. Jane, you're here representing the hospital.
Yes, and I've actually attended this class, and so after they give a presentation, I'm gonna let people know what that class meant to me.
Okay, all right. We're talking tonight. You're going to have the meeting. And what are you going to be talking about? Here, let me get everything right here. This is, I've got Robin and Frank
Burwell.
Burwell,
Yep.
right? And Jane Hawley on delirium tonight. Okay.
Yes, delirium and dementia, and we're gonna do a program. And if you just kind of give your viewers something to kind of relate to, back in the old days, we rewind history. There wasn't a lot of hospitals. A lot of people had care at home. Doctors made house calls.
Right. Well,
So
yeah.
okay, so you probably have heard of people who became very ill and were out of their head. Was probably a statement that was said, and I really believe that was kind of the first recognized delirium. So delirium is a temporary confusional state that is usually brought on by some type of insult or injury or infection or disease process, and it can be quite troubling while the patient's in the hospitals. and it affects really how we care for them and what their future is. So
So, it's just happened in the hospital, or it can still happen at home now?
it can, but fast forward history. Now those patients that were very ill at home are in the hospital,
Sure,
aren't they?
okay, yeah,
So
right.
that's why we're seeing it worldwide. This is not just a Kansas problem. This is just not
Yeah.
a East Coast, West Coast. It's worldwide. So we actually went to a conference in Nashville, Tennessee, where that's really only been going on for what, 5-6 years, and experts, researchers, doctors from all over the world gathered, shared their collaborative research in an effort to educate, to help us identify these patients in the hospital, what we can do for them, what we need to try to do for them.
Robin, is this kind of a best kept secret thing, kind of, or a lot of people, does it happen a lot in the hospital, more than people know about?
Delirium happens more than we think, yes, definitely. And I think that's the big thing, is it's not identified enough. And delirium is something that is reversible. But if we don't catch it and the patient continues on through the delirium, sometimes it can cause long-term changes in their mental status. So
So, is it the stay in the hospital, maybe, the unfamiliar surroundings that may be part of it?
That can
and-
make a difference, yes. Those things are undersold. I'm glad you brought that up. Every day we wake up, we know where we are, but we also, our brain's unconsciously looking for clues to where we are.
Yeah,
You know how to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night at your house,
Yeah.
right? You have clues, you have
Right.
things in the environment.
Sure.
And really, it's fascinating, but light levels can be a huge factor for people who don't see very well, don't hear very well, and they're used to their own surroundings. You take somebody fragile, you make them sick, you put them in the hospital, and it's not hard to believe or understand why they are confused.
Sure, I can understand that. Stub your toe once in a while where you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to bed. And as you get older, you get up in the morning more at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
definitely.
That happens. Maybe twice in the morning, you get up. But
Exactly.
In fact, I didn't ever used to leave the light on. I leave the light on in the bathroom now.
Definitely.
Just so you can wake up
Yeah.
and know. See, there's nothing overnight has gotten your way there
Right.
to take. So,
Absolutely.
Can medication sometimes create that? A wrong combination of medication that causes it too?
Definitely, yeah. There's actually a list of medications, 2 different lists. Beer's list is one that we try to kind of. It's something that they came together and said that elderly adults should not be on any of these medications if possible, because it can cause side effects such as increased falls, increased confusion, those kinds of things. And then the other thing we look at with delirium is it's called an anticholinergic burden scale, and those are medications that can kind of alter our ability to think clearly.
Okay, so if a person, maybe they have a preliminary Alzheimer's or dementia, does that increase the possibility of having delirium?
Absolutely increases the risk. And the problem in healthcare, it's really hard to discern what the confusion, is that coming from the dementia, Alzheimer's, or is it delirium? And this is where family members are very, very important. We need to know from them what the baseline function of these patients are. We need to know, is that something your mom or your dad would do, or your wife, or I want to show you a personal story. My mother, she's taken sleeping medication for years. She has trouble sleeping. She took some and did not go right to bed. And about an hour later was seeing actively hallucinating, saw a little girl in the corner of the room. It's quite scary. It's frightening.
Oh, yeah.
They think it's real, And my father, he actually had an infection from a hip replacement, and he didn't like hospitals, but he got up and was trying to beat on the glass doors, the front door, and trying to get out of there. So
Wow.
it's personal. That's frightening because you don't want to see your mom or your dad or your loved one that
No,
way.
no.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That I didn't realize that was even a problem in hospitals. So what does your class do then, or are you telling? Does your class get the information out for people to look out for things like this? Is that what your class is about?
Yeah, it's really for anyone, but there's definitely a section in there for healthcare workers. So any kind of healthcare workers are definitely going to get something out of this class. The general public is also going to get a lot out of this class. So it's kind of hard to shape a presentation for both sides, but that's what we're really trying to do tonight. So you're going to be educated on what the signs are, symptoms, and we got videos. We actually have a couple of videos of people of all age groups, including a very young child with delirium.
Really?
So it's going to be really, really, I think, educational.
Is it a temporary thing, or just because of the conditions at that time? Is that what happens, or may be the only time they might ever have it?
Not necessarily. I mean, what really got me started in doing this was, I work on a rehabilitation team. So I was an occupational therapist and working with physical therapists, speech therapists. So we had this patient about 5 years ago. I'm going to name her Bernice, okay?
Okay.
And she had a husband at home, and she was doing quite well. She fell and broke her hip. And we got her back to try to rehabilitate her. And, she wanted to go home, and we wanted her to go home. So she started actively hallucinating. And when we're giving patients instructions, it's critical they be able to understand and follow those. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, I think we could understand that if you're actively hallucinating, I mean, that's probably not a patient that is actually going to be recommended that they go home.
Sure.
So sadly, she was sent to a geriatric psychiatric facility. She never recovered and passed away the same year. Married for 55 years. And that just really got to us. And so I was working with a speech therapist at the time, Mary Anderson, and she was an absolute bulldog as far as wanting to run stuff down and wanted to know why. Because doctors, nobody knew why. And we wanted to know why. And that's actually where my journey began, is she started this research and kind of educated us. And now we're trying to take it farther. So,
Okay, so that's what your classes, what you say is kind of a two-stage class tonight? Okay.
well, it's just trying to appeal to a wide audience,
Yeah.
Again, healthcare workers need to know, general public needs to know. Yeah.
Okay,
And different things that you can do to, kind of try to keep people from getting delirious.
Sure.
So,
So Robin, where and when tonight? And it's open to anyone, right? It's open to the public.
it's open to
Where
anyone.
and
Yeah.
when tonight?
Tonight at the hospital in the education room, which is downstairs.
Right, down, you come in to your left,
Correct.
go over there, because, and you're on the board, Jane on the board. We just had her on, Mike on, telling about that thing, you people, the Stepping Up program, a lot of things going on out here that they can, do you want to come in and talk a little bit about
Yes, I
the-
sure do, and it is at 7 o'clock tonight. And I want to make sure everybody knows who these people are.
Okay.
And so this is Frank Burwell, and he's one of the occupational therapists, and he works in the physical therapy department for us. And this is Robin Burwell, and she is an advanced nurse practitioner, and
Okay.
she works a lot of our weekends in ER and at the hospital.
Okay.
So we just feel blessed that we have this high caliber of folks
Sure.
working to take care of us.
Okay.
And I attended one of their classes. And since I am on the hospital board, we're allowed to visit any of the meetings. So I knew these kids, I call them kids, were going to be talking to the nurses. And I thought, I'll just go listen to what their topic is today. And what it was hospital, the delirium. And I had never heard of it either. And so information just fit what our mission statement is patient-centered excellence. And what they are producing, sharing with us, it just strengthens our mission. And some of us thought that the information was so great for the nurses, we asked them if they'd please also present it to the public. And they so kindly agreed to do that. And like they said, the information isn't just for the medical folks, it's for general public also, and they do such a great job in presenting. They present at a basic level also, so a lot of people will get a lot out of it. You don't have to have a medical degree to be there, And and who it's for, like they said, it's for anybody, but it's even for ourselves. So we're kind of aware of what we need to be cooperative when the hospital folks tell us to go do this and do that. Or for our spouses or our parents or our grandparents or our friends, neighbors. So, I feel like all there's to do to take care of each other. And they're giving us a tool, which I call knowledge, to help take care of each other even better.
Kind of, so someone knows what to look for in their neighbors, friends, or
Yes.
relatives, or whatever.
And what went on for me is the old light bulb went on. Have you ever had that experience where the light bulb goes on? You hear something, it finally makes sense. I was listening to them do their presentation. I have a very dear elderly friend, and she was in the hospital about a year ago. And I just listened to their presentation a couple months ago. Anyways, this is over a year ago, and she's in the hospital, and she is angry. She's confused. She's uncooperative. It's like, oh my goodness, what's going on here? the doctors said, you know, there's nothing going on with her blood work. She doesn't have infections anymore. We just didn't know what it was. But as soon as I heard this presentation, I thought, oh my gosh, that's what was going on. And so through their presentation, I'm going to be a better person for her because they gave us tools to how to help avoid that. And it's just a great presentation, and I just enthusiastically invite everybody to come.
I think before this all came out, maybe 30 years ago, people would have this, and it was just part of, in the hospital. That's just part of what it is being in the hospital, wasn't it? And they
Right.
looked at it that way.
Yeah, we used to call it ICU delirium,
Yeah.
is what the main name was, yeah.
And so,
Or psychosis.
Or psychosis.
ICU psychosis,
would
you
be
know.
another one, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But then so many would be misdiagnosed with a dementia.
Right.
And here it was this.
Right.
And so it was just, wow.
And this
It's
confusion,
wonderful
you
information.
referred to this earlier. We have seen cases where this confusion is not temporary, and it can stay with you.
really, yeah.
And so that's what happened to that patient I was talking about, and she never was the same. And of course, that's a worst case scenario. And but we don't. We want the best for our patients. The best case scenario, we're taking care of them. So
Brings up a question. Go ahead. What were you
Well,
gonna
and
say?
when you think about it, when a patient enters the hospital, that's might be the worst day of their life. So if even the family members understand how we can make that better for them and less stressful,
Right,
it will have a better outcome.
right.
Okay. Question there. Okay. And is dementia different than? See, I've got to see. Wow.
No.
that's age-related memory loss. I talked to a guy last week. He said my forgetter works really well. I thought that was the cutest thing I've heard in quite a while.
Wait a minute. Alzheimer's and dementia, is that actually two different things, or
Yes.
is
Alzheimer's and
pretty much
dementia.
the same?
So there are 9 different subtypes of dementia, and Alzheimer's is one of them.
Okay.
And so dementia normally is a slow, gradual process. It's a brain disease. You start to have problems with memory that gets worse, and then solving problems, everyday problems, becomes challenging and difficult. But it's normally a gradual process.
Okay.
Whereas the delirium is more in a days and hours onset.
Okay.
So you brought a great component out. There's definitely a time component here.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
I know my wife had Alzheimer's for 5 years, and you could see that coming all along. And she may have had dementia too. I mean, delirium too. Who knows? But she didn't spend much time in the hospital. She was just in that 5-year period. But and things get worse, and how that goes. So what do you find out that after you have the class that people are most thankful for what you've told them? I mean, do each of them come out there with 1 or 2 things to look for? Is that what? And do you have handouts or anything, or is it a PowerPoint present?
Right.
Or you said you have a couple of films. Do you have some films?
Yeah.
Right, there's 2 videos, and then, we have a
Videos.
PowerPoint that we'll make
Okay.
copies of so they can take them home.
Sure.
Yeah,
I love those PowerPoint. You see it there and you take it home.
right.
And the value that I saw was just that I know now how to help.
Mm-hmm.
And, they gave all kind of different hints.
Sure.
And makes me feel better about helping to take care of someone.
Okay.
And I know the nurses were so thrilled too,
Sure.
when we heard this presentation. They can even name different people. Oh my gosh, they had it, we missed it. But they're on it now.
Yeah.
Okay, now I couldn't remember Alzheimer's. Now, do I say that 5 times? Do I say it again?
7
They
times.
say, yeah.
Wow, that's happening a little more too. But I did learn some things from my wife about how things to look for. That was very in the early stages. The doctor really helped me on things as things got worse, and then finally, eventually, she had to go to a home. But very important to know things, trigger points there
Right.
that's okay. Well. So how many times have you presented this? Do you present it every once in a while, or do you?
I think I presented it twice.
Okay.
And hopefully we're going to keep presenting. And we'd like to, this program is actually modified from the last one that Jane went to. So added a little bit more about dementia and some of the differences. You bring up a great point, and Alzheimer's is a progressive disease. And as a person progresses down that road, it becomes even more difficult for even trained experts to identify what's the effects of Alzheimer's and what delirium is. So another fascinating thing. There's 4 of us in this room, and we could all have delirium, and we would be acting totally different.
Really?
And it's
I mean,
it'll just that it continues to fascinate me. I've even shared my own experiences here of missing a case initially where a patient was spelling out words,
yeah.
and I didn't know why she was doing that.
Wow.
So I have a cognition or some thinking test I gave her, and she scored really low. And I was embarrassed later because I realized what I should have been checking for was delirium, which she tested positive. So 2 weeks later, as the delirium cleared, I gave her the first test I gave her. She scored much better.
Okay, well, that's great.
So yeah, stuff like that, it's really easy to miss.
And sometimes people just, they don't want to be in the hospital. They might not be delirium at all. It's just, they just
Right.
don't want to be in the hospital.
Right.
I can understand that, And so that's not really, it's how they reacting and the hallucination. I didn't realize that could be part of the problem. There. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anything else? Just show tonight. What time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock,
Hospital and
yeah.
Education Meeting Room.
Okay, just go in the door to your left.
That's
Just
correct.
keep going back.
That's right. And Tara Overmiller, she always does a good job organizing everything, and she organized this, and I see that she's gonna have refreshments and door prizes too.
Yes.
Door
So,
prizes.
I mean,
Wow.
hey, get some knowledge and some other stuff.
That's right. That's right.
You
So
know,
we'd like to welcome everybody.
I give my there's one test for Alzheimer's. Make a clock face and put the hands in at 15 past 11.
Yeah.
I do that every week. I'd
Good smart thinking.
see if I can do that every week. So it's amazing how things like that, and if you can't make the clock face and put the hands in at 15 minutes past 11, then that might be something. And I do, like I say, every Sunday morning I get up and do that. I still do
Put that
it.
on my list too. Thanks.
Well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
Anything
Ted.
else? We cover pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a very important meeting. 7 tonight. Learn about maybe it might not be your problem, but if you've seen maybe indications in someone else,
Right.
to help them determine just what. Okay. One fine. Okay, so if you maybe determined that maybe your brother or mother or something is having this problem, how do you get that person? What do you do? If do you turn? That's not.
That's a
I was
good
going to say
question.
turn them in. That's not right. That's not
That's
the right
basically what you
word.
do need to do.
Yeah.
You can call their-
So what do you do? Is contact someone?
Call their provider.
Yep.
Provider. Okay.
And tonight, I'm going to go over some assessments. Back in the old days, we didn't have anything. We've got a lot of really cool machines. We can measure blood pressure. We can measure oxygen saturation. But we had very little to assess how are you thinking today. It mostly was like, can you tell me your name and who's president and what year it is? Well, in the grand scheme of things, that just doesn't tell us a lot. So I do have some screening tools that I'm going to show you tonight and say this can be used to test for delirium, and it's very, very easy. So yeah, trying to get that.
And my understanding was from their class that if we as friends or family notice something's different about this patient, to be sure and let the nurse know.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Give them a heads up.
Because the nurse isn't always there. Maybe that be
Right.
happening. And of course, as the information gets out, it makes it easier to identify something happening. Like you say, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's the way it is.
Right.
And it's not that way anymore. Okay, so, well, and as a member of the hospital board, I think it's great that are you involved in getting all these things coming in to inform the people and educate
Well, yes,
them?
when we heard the nurse's presentation, we thought, boy, that has to go public.
Okay, very good. Anything more from you, Jane?
Well, we're just so blessed. I was out at a meeting at the hospital the other day, and the whole parking lot was full. The front was full, the sides were full, and some of them got on the intercom and said, could they move from the front of the hospital? So,
Sure.
so we just have so much going on. There were different meetings, and it's just a busy place, and that's what we want it to
Sure,
be.
right.
Take care of those folks. Take care of us.
Okay. Incidentally, Trump's the president, and this is Hey,
Now I only have one question for you. Is what are you going to do if you draw that clock and it's not quite right? Are you going to show that to anybody or?
well, yeah.
Okay.
I have a son who's a doctor.
Right.
And so
okay.
it goes to him first.
Okay.
go.
I got your word on that, right?
I did ask him. I'll be honest with you. I called him the other night. I said, Mark, I'm having a little trouble with knowing what I ate the day before yesterday. And he said, don't worry about it, Dad. I'm around you enough. Don't worry about it yet. So, okay.
Good.
Very good. Well, thanks for coming
Thanks
on.
for having
It's
us.
nice.
Thank you.
We'll see how things
Thank
go,
you,
Heidi.
Tad.
And
Thank you, Tad, for having
Yeah,
us.
sure. You have a good day. All right.
Appreciate it.
Tuesday morning, or see, Thursday morning. This
Okay,
is
but the meeting's tonight at 7.
right. Okay, thank
See you
you.
tonight.
Okay. We'd like to remind you that the Tadpoll also brought to you by all your friends at the Farmers State Bank in Phillipsburg. We're interested again the moment you enter the door, interested in you. Make to Miller, it's not what you make, but what you keep. Mid-America Real Estate, providing the best homes in the area for over 40 years. Blossoms and Butterflies, making beautiful flowers a part of your life. Sign Solutions, your one-stop sign shop, so much more. Madison Motors, in business for over 70 years. Rogers Associates, your local trusted choice agency. And we have waiting outside, Mitch Holthus is out there with Eldine and Tammy. They're going to be coming on here in a moment. I don't know how much we'll talk about the Chiefs, but I know we're going to talk about something coming up this weekend over there. But in the meantime, we have a Sherry Buss. Thanks for coming over this morning, Sherry.
Morning,
and
Tad.
how are things going at Hanson?
It's going swimmingly. It's well. Everything's going well. We're really excited. We have our annual meeting coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock. And we are so thrilled. We're having Marcy Pinner and Wendy Rowe from the Kansas Sampler Foundation come and give a presentation about their book, the Kansas Guidebook
Wow,
2.
two.
And these ladies traveled to all of these places in here, firsthand knowledge, and wrote about it. And when you listen to them speak, you want to get in your car and go as soon as they're done. They will show you the craziest things, the coolest things, the funnest things,
sure.
and the most eclectic. They know all the good places to eat and all the neat little stops. And so it's really fun.
That'd be great if you're going through Kansas, have that with you.
Yes, and they will have them available on Sunday to sell, and you can even get it autographed. I got mine
Wow.
autographed. That's really cool. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because I sent my press release out for this, and I don't know if you know, when you send a press release, you really don't have any control when papers
Sure.
print or how they do it. But Salina Journal must have printed it last week, late in the week, and I keep getting these calls all week. We want to buy your book. We want to buy your book. It took me a little while to figure out. One fellow finally took the time and didn't get frustrated and explained to me, and they're wanting to buy this book. So I've been telling them they can come on Sunday, or they can call the Kansas Sampler Foundation and get it arranged too. So.
Now, I called you yesterday to confirm you were going to be here today, and I asked you, I said, do you have to be a member of the Hanson Museum Association?
No, you do
to
not
attend.
have to be a Hanson Museum member. Anybody is welcome. In fact, everyone is invited. If you want to join, that's fine. The one perk the members will get that day is we do have a carving we're giving away. I don't know if you ever come to the Arts and Craft Fair, but we have Iowa chainsaw artist Blair Smith, and he always carves us an extra sculpture that day, and we give it away at our annual meeting. And this year's sculpture is called the Dreamer. It is the cutest jackrabbit holding a butterfly in its front paws,
really?
and it is awesome. It is a little heavy, but we'll help you get it to your house if you don't live too far away.
It's amazing over there when he works over there right north, and you hear that saw going all day. You know, it's amazing what you do with that saw. You know, how,
It is. You know, he writes neater with his chainsaw than I do with a pencil. he has the Dreamer, it has the title, and he has it in neat block letters down below it. And I told that to Paul, our maintenance guy. I said, he writes neater with a chainsaw than I do with a pencil. It's just crazy.
Okay, so that's coming up Tuesday. No,
Sunday.
I got Tuesday reminded day. Sunday at 2. That's where I got.
That's right.
Sunday at 2. They're at the building, and there's you just put up a new exhibit, right?
Yes, we do. We have two really cool historical exhibits up on our outer walls. We have the American Relief posters from World War II. It's called Work, Fight, Give. And what it is, it's a non-traditional World War II exhibit in that it points to the devastation of war and how Americans came together to try to give some relief. It poses that ever question, are we our brother's keeper? You know, and so it's really a look at the philanthropic contributions that we made, many of them before America actually joined the war.
Right.
But it's a really interesting exhibit, and there's a lot of just really heart-wrenching posters. There was a lot of really cool artists that had, they learned the art of branding, I think, during that time too as well, and putting a like what we would call a logo or a picture with a name to help you get that visual recognition as well as the reading recognition.
And growing up during that period, I remember I saw pictures of a lot of these posters that, and this Uncle Sam, I Want You, and the ladies doing the defense work and all this. So, yeah, and so that's one exhibit.
That's one exhibit. And then on the interior, on the floor, we have the Chisholm Trail exhibit. And it is a really cool exhibit. It's in celebration of 150 years of the Chisholm Trail. And it was created, this is a cool thing, it was created and designed here in Kansas by the Flint Hills Symphony people. And it's a really neat exhibit. It really does take a look at how the Chisholm Trail really did make the American cowboy a national icon, and it really does take you into the history of the trail, where it wasn't like just a static trail that went straight up from Texas to Abilene or
Abilene's
whatever.
where it ended,
Sometime
Trail.
it changed because
did?
it got to the point where people didn't want those rowdy cowboys in their town, and the yellow fever and the cattle. They did not want their cattle to be
Sure.
infected, so they started to have to quarantine them outside of town and then find ways to get them onto the cars. And it did change. And then the invention of barbed wire, the people here didn't want those cattle eating their grass, and they were protecting their land.
Well,
And
they
Yeah.
had a lot of range wars. I guess that's
Yeah.
some range wars on the.
so
That was the big thing was the barbed wire. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That-
it's a cool exhibit, and it really does. That time period has been really romanticized, but it was a pretty rough time. It really was. I mean, life was hard then anyway.
My granddad drove cattle up from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going back, and he was in the last Indian raid at Oberlin, and he had to hide out. He had Indians after him. And I know it's a fact because he wrote something about it, and then they have his name, and the Indians stole his clothes, and they have over there a receipt. John Fuller, $55 clothes that the U.S. Army cavalry bought him clothes again
Reimbursed him.
because the cavalry, they said it was their fault that the Indians came out of the reservation. But that's the story there. But anyway, so you had both those exhibits, and everyone invited. And
Everyone's
a book is
invited.
available.
The book will be available, and there'll be wonderful cake. We're having a local lady make our cake, and so, you're going to get a nice piece of cake and a nice cup of punch and a great entertainment, and it's all for free.
Yeah.
So come on
Now,
out.
sometimes you have music. You have any music planned?
No, this year we did the presentation. Marcy and Wendy will probably speak for about 20 minutes, and so we didn't want to keep everyone
Sure, I
for the
understand.
whole day, because I also think there's some other things going on in Phillips
Yeah,
County
yeah,
that night.
yeah.
So, nope, we'll probably keep it for about an hour's time period, and then people can visit and enjoy the exhibit, we hope.
And I've attended the last 5 or 6 of those, and they're really neat because one thing for me, I see people I don't see very
Don't really
often.
see.
You sit and talk about things, and then this looks like it's really going to
Yeah,
be good.
I promise you will not be disappointed. It'll be well worth your time. I don't know if anybody ever watches like the Rick Steves Travel Channel or Travel Show on PBS, and he's so in depth about the places he goes. Well, Marcy is just in depth, and Wendy when they give their talks, but it's fun. She's so personable and just really just draws you in. Her enthusiasm is contagious. It truly is.
And if you're traveling, just if you're to an area, particularly if you've never been to before, just go on there and find out where to eat and just where to stay also.
Yeah,
and-
what to see, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. And you could just plan some really neat day trips from our area as well, and that's what I think is neat too. It's we talk about stay vacations or staycations or whatever,
Yeah.
and this really will help you make it memorable. And sometimes we need to be intentional in our planning. Well, they've done the work for us. That's hard. The planning part's hard. They've done it. You just go to a section, and you can find all the cool things right here
Wow,
with little
yeah.
little descriptions and pictures and even where to stop for lunch. So
Okay. Very
It's a
good.
neat one.
Anything else there?
Well, we have some classes coming up, but
What classes do you have?
Anna Schrimmer is going to be teaching meat canning on Thursday, April 19th. I believe it is
Well,
the
it's
19th.
a week from today, it'd be the 19th. I think.
Yep. At the city building, and there's still room for that. If you've never had canned meat, it's awesome, and she does a really good job teaching you how to do it and do it safely.
Safe,
That's the most
main,
important.
bottom line, safe canning and safety.
We do have crochet coming up with Sammy Randall, but that registration for that is closed. But think about it for next year because it's a really cool class. She teaches you to it's called crocheting copper, but it's more like weaving. Excuse me, that copper word's hard to get out. And then, as long as Cody Miller's wife doesn't have a baby, he's coming with Anna back in May to do
That's about time when Rachel's going to be,
outdoor Dutch oven cooking, which I think will be a really interesting experience. And so registration's still open for that. And then, of course, we have several painting workshops coming this summer. You can see all of our classes listed on our website, or always give us a call. We like talking to people, or just come in. We'll give you all the information you need.
It's a very friendly place to go into. There's a police officer right there at the door.
Yeah.
Very
Sills our
friendly.
sentry, and he will greet you every time. He's not a man of very many words, though.
No, he's not. And I've seen people talk to him, not knowing, and we're talking about the,
I've seen people get mad that he won't talk back.
Really?
He takes his job way too serious. Yeah.
Of course, this summer in August, you're having the annual event there, and
We,
Labor Day, and
We do have our arts and craft fair third Saturday in August, and then Labor Day Sunday before Labor Day. We have some really cool entertainment and things planned. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to coming and telling you about that. And then late in the summer, a new thing to the museum, which we're still very much in the early planning stage, is we are going to host an art camp for kids. And it'll be a 4-day experience, and we'll have younger kids come in the morning and older kids come in the afternoon, and we're going to teach sketch, watercolor, and not oil paint, but acrylic paint and ceramic or clay. And we're really getting that planned right now. I don't have complete details, but be looking for information about that because registration for that will be extremely limited.
okay. And you don't have any. You have anything to do with the music, the thing they're doing? You have these four communities around the area where they're bringing professional musicians in to work with the kids, and I think that's from Awaring. I think that came from another, not from you.
Not
I think
from
it's
me.
from the other side over there.
Yeah,
I think.
probably the foundation.
Foundation, yeah.
They're always
Foundation.
doing great things.
I
And,
know.
and
And I looked at their last week in the paper. Everyone who got scholarships. It's amazing, the scholarships, and that just
They
continues to be real. So,
changes lives, which then changes all of our lives, and that's awesome that they can do
all
that.
right,
Yeah.
well, very good.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well,
It's Sunday afternoon. I'm going to
Sunday
be
afternoon. Good. I'm looking forward to seeing you,
I'm
Tad. Bring a
gonna-
friend.
I'm looking forward to that and the cake.
Yes, the cake will be good. Jessica makes great cake.
I may come over early and get a pizza and then just hang around for that.
You know, you can't. Main Street Pizza's pretty good too. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
all right,
really good.
fine.
Well, look forward to seeing you, Tad. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Sure, thank you. We'll have you back again.
Good, we appreciate
Okay,
that.
Fine. With us this morning is Sherry Buss of the Hanson Museum, and again, I recommend you go there Sunday afternoon at 2:00. And I think maybe Mitch and company are going to be coming in there. Okay. Reminder that the program made possible by Phillips County Health Systems, Olive Bovey Memorial Chapel, Stephen E. Rust, your State Farm agent, Sonic Drive-In. Like us on Facebook to see our Sonic deals. Phillipsburg Chamber and Main Street, where the roads are paved with opportunity. Farmers and Ranchers Outlet, and J&R HIVAC R. Making the sponsors make it possible for bring people in like the gentleman next to me, who I've known for a long time, and is your dad? Is your
He's
dad
coming
coming?
too, yeah,
Okay,
he's here.
all right, old Dean. Hi, Mitch.
Hey, Tad. Good to see you, brother.
Hi, Tammy.
Tad.
Okay.
Good to see you.
It's not every day we're with a Hall of Famer. He's in the KAB Hall of Fame.
Well, I don't know about, we don't say much about that
No,
stuff.
I will.
Okay. How's the voice of the Chiefs today?
Well, doing okay as long as she's with me. We're excited for the weekend
Sure.
and what we're doing with the Home on the Range celebration. This will be our second event, and hopefully it'll be annual, but we've a lot of activities going on.
Okay,
But we're excited about it.
My understanding, though, that the the weather has made a change in Saturday, is that right? Like, Tammy, you want to talk about that?
30-some degrees with a north wind and possible snow doesn't lend well to golf. So we decided to cancel the golf tournament, and instead we're hosting a brunch at the clubhouse
Okay.
at 9:30 for the golfers that can make it in. And Mitch and another gentleman that's very current with the NFL draft are going to talk NFL business for a little bit and just kind of have some fun Saturday morning. And then we're hoping for many of those golfers to decide, since they can't play golf, to join us for pickleball in the afternoon.
I try to get my son to come. He plays pickleball all the time. He still plays tennis. I mean, he plays tennis a lot, and he's kind of taking up pickleball now.
Excellent.
And he has a friend who they play it inside, and I asked him to come up, but he would need a partner, and then he found out he had to cover this weekend, so he couldn't make it up here. He's looking forward to seeing you again.
That's
Mitch.
heck when his being a doctor gets in the way of his pickleball. Yeah, and playing, it'd just be Mark to beat me again. I couldn't guard him in basketball, so why would I beat him in
You went
pickleball?
against each other, didn't you?
Yeah, we're the same age, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And so, Eldine, we had you a couple of weeks ago talking about what's the purpose of the pickleball and what was going to be the purpose of, and the dinner and the movie and everything.
All of these things go for the benefit of the Home on the Range site, and that's development of. We have a new comprehensive plan, and right now this project or this particular time, we're working to raise funds for maintenance on the site. Which is a tractor and a mower and a back blade and some things like that for rough mowing. Right now, our tenants, Dean and Karen Panter, take care of the smooth mowing and the buffalo grass. But this benefit today is tomorrow or Saturday. I mean, it's primarily for maintenance equipment on site.
Okay. Because I went over yesterday afternoon, and it had been a while since I'd been there, a couple of years. I didn't know you can get in you just open it up and pull the thing, you're in. And what's the area? And you have the kiosk around where people on the trail can read about it.
Yeah, right now that's about 13 acres, Tad. But currently now, that's expanded to 55 acres. And so right now, essentially, it's from the cabin south, but it's going to be clear the full length of West Beaver Creek, and so it will include all of Beaver Creek that was in Dr. Higley's original when he homesteaded that. And so we're going to have all of that, all of what he loved, what was all grass then.
Yeah.
That will enhance what we have there as a testimonial to Dr. Higley.
They didn't have trees there.
No, we didn't have trees,
and
and the rivers also didn't have channels like we know them now. The rivers actually ran bank to bank, and they were very, very shallow. And in fact, the oxbows that are in the creeks now, they came after 1900, after the ground was broken up, because I have a picture in the cabin of where the waters ran straight north and south.
Wow.
And we had a flood in 15 and 16, and that's the way the water ran when it flooded, straight north and south. But anyway, we're working. That's another part of our plan to make sure the cabin doesn't flood. Yeah.
I think people don't realize that back then there weren't any trees.
No, and it was all grass, and we didn't have runoff
grass.
like we do now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
the creeks and rivers had water in them,
Yeah.
or now it's just kind of cut down through. You have to have a good rain upstream before you get anything coming downstream, and that's it. But we did yesterday kind of go around, went inside,
Okay.
and looked around there, and so it's all south though, and north.
It'll be north and south. It'll be a full half mile. The whole
Okay.
site's going to be actually all of the non-cultivated land, even up to the highway. Even the edges along the highway are all going to be included in our walk. You'll be able to go clear around the 240 acres. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, when did Eldine first get interested in this? Has he always been interested in home on the range?
Well, it's been a part of our life
Yeah.
as long as I can remember, because my great aunt and uncle, his aunt and uncle, lived there.
Sure.
And they were the reason basically the cabin stayed there. There were a couple occasions that we're aware of that they were basically given a blank check to move it.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic song.
Sure.
And there, you can imagine what that would look like on some other place because of its popularity. But they said, no, it stays here.
Well, and that makes sense. That's where it was written. That's where it is. That's, you can see where.
But if someone came in today and said a blank check for your show, it'd be hard to, kind of hard to turn that down.
Well,
I mean,
it would be. It was like $7 million or something like that.
well, and they had the fortitude and the desire for it to stay there. So that's why the generations now feel compelled to keep it going and to enhance it. We're excited about the 55-acre expansion. But then also we've discussed building an amphitheater there. We'd love to have concerts there.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be neat.
One of the great things in our state, the Kansas City Symphony does symphony in the Flint Hills,
Right.
and they do it out in the pasture many times in the Eskridge or somewhere. It was near Junction City or Fort Riley last year, I think, or 2 years ago.
Right.
But the last song they play in that concert is Home on the Range.
Right.
And so, who knows? Someday maybe we'll have the Kansas City Symphony out there. And we'll have several thousand people. You have a whole bunch of people on your show.
Right. Someone comes in there and offering $7 million to sign on and go to KU. Is that how that works?
That's how it works. They want your show.
It could be any college. It's not just it could be any college. Could even be K-State, but not.
who
But
knows?
anyway, and I want to ask you about that a little bit here and
Okay.
about what you think about all that. So, okay, so you're going to have your brunch in the morning, and then later on the pickleball. People out there don't. Some say, "What in the world is pickleball?" We have a brand new court out here, outdoor court here that the city built for pickleball. But what is pickleball? Who's the expert among the three of you?
Not
I
you.
don't think
Okay.
any of us are, Tad.
We're trying to figure this out, but it's
Yeah.
very, very popular.
It is.
So Tammy can explain it, but this has become, in Kansas City, it is ballooned. I mean, there's
Actually,
one of our
all
sponsors.
over.
Yeah.
All over the nation,
Yeah.
it has.
So what is pickleball?
It's kind of a
Someone
It's
says,
kind
I'll
of a-
interrupt you. It's like ping pong on a table, standing on a table. Okay, go
a
ahead,
simpler
yeah.
version maybe of table tennis, a combination of
Mm-hmm.
that with badminton, with tennis. It's a smaller court, so it's actually, you don't have to, move quite
Mm-hmm.
as much as you would on a tennis court. And it's played a lot of circles of retired people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great exercise, it's a lot of fun. I say that, I've never played it, I've watched it. And I'm very anxious to try it on Saturday.
Well, and we're excited. We have people coming from Kansas City, from McPherson, from, where else? Lexington, Missouri, Joplin, Missouri, coming to support the cabin. And so, ostensibly, when we figured we had good weather, people that play pickleball is just to expand the folks that can get involved. So we'd have golf and pickleball. Now we're going to have just
and
pickleball.
all ages.
And all ages, yeah. It's from 6 to
Is-
96.
Have you found out I would think maybe it might be more conducive for older people that can't cover a full tennis court. And that would be very good for them, but then the young ones could play it too, so.
And I guess they do play it here in the schools, and a lot of the young kids really enjoy it. So I think it's going to be something that can get a wide variety of people involved in the mission. And also part of our excitement about this is that we do get to share the love that we have for this area and for the cabin with our friends from all over.
Sure.
And the people here have been so good to support the cabin, to keep it going for so many years. And now we're trying to get outside people aware and to jump on board to help support it going forward. And so this is one opportunity we can bring in people that we know from Kansas City and from other areas where they get to help show their support.
Sure.
Yeah, and the bulk of our sponsors are from outside of this area, and that's on purpose because we want the people of this area to enjoy it without having the financial burden because they support a lot around here. So we thought it's a way we work on recruiting and underwriting and fundraising basically all year long, so that the financial engine of this event is coming from outside in, and we get a lot of visitors from it too.
And, yeah, and beyond that, the people coming hopefully they're supporting the area businesses here while they're here.
Right, sure.
So we're bringing economy into the area as well.
And it's another thing then that the foundation, of course, primarily is about promotion and maintenance of the cabin and the site. But what we want to do along with that, we also want to promote. We're promoting Smith County and all of north central Kansas. I'm working here with Phillips County and some of the other counties that are along, and that we want the people to understand that we tend to have a parochial thinking, and that, well, the cabin's in Smith County, so that's a Smith County thing, but it's way bigger than that. And so we're doing two things. We're promoting the cabin and raising some funds for that, but we're also advertising the area. And so that we hope it's economic. And then the other thing is it's education. We're bringing a new thing to town for pickleball, which will introduce, and it could become a commercial venture, but certainly a private one to learn. But that fits into the parameters of the mission statement of the foundation. The cabin is the linchpin, but we're also just as interested in community and all of that to promote the area.
And then,
There's still time to sign up.
okay.
So the pickleball tournament, it will be kicked off at 1 o'clock with a beginners clinic. Basically, one of the national champion pickleballers will be here to
National
teach.
champions here?
National
Wow.
champion named Jack Oxler from Kansas City, originally from the Wichita area.
Wow.
But he will teach everyone how to play and how to score and all of that. And then we'll spend a little time after that clinic to let everybody practice. And then we'll start a tournament. And we'll have two divisions. We'll have a competitive division and a recreational division. So if you're just a beginner and you want to jump in, it's not too late. But you need to call today or tomorrow for sure. And we can get you in that. If you're a beginner, we can place you in that recreational division with all the other beginners. And it's just going to be fun.
Are you going to have extra? What do you use? It's called a racket, or what is it? What is
It's a
it?
paddle, I guess.
Paddle.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
And-
have?
It's not as big as a tennis racket.
We're
It's a little bigger
providing,
than
we're
a.
providing
They'll
the
provide
equipment.
So
Yes.
someone out there doesn't have one.
Good
just
question.
show
Yes.
up and do that.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
What I want to add too, that we're also the ending the evening with the showing of the Home on the Range movie, and that repeat again that our special guests that we've invited to attend the movie are the firemen from the 8 fire districts that saved the cabin back on March the 5th when we had the fire that threatened to. So we had four districts from Nebraska and 4
I didn't
from
realize that.
Yes,
Wow.
well, that's another. Anyway, they saved it. They actually set up three of the districts set fire trucks around the cabin to make sure it wasn't going to be burned.
Well, there's a lot of trees around there. and
You bet, a
everything,
lot of
too,
trash.
yeah,
And so
there's
anyway,
trash
they
there.
are guests, so that'll be our only opportunity other than this, and then in the letters to the fire department. But we want to recognize them at the movie that night.
That's great. Okay, then. Now, the supper, is that, can you still get that, or is that closed?
If you call today, I think, what was that final deadline that they would take it?
It was last week.
Yeah.
However,
Right.
however, because we had to cancel the golf tournament, there are several who were planning to come from out of town who can't make it now.
Okay.
So I think we have some wiggle room there, but we need to know.
Sure,
So they
and-
need to call the bank,
The bank?
People's Bank. Let's see.
282-6682.
Oh, we got two numbers there.
Yeah, let's
That
call this one number though, 785-282-6682. And give it again.
Ask for Kim or Mark.
Yeah. 785-282-6682. But there's still room to get it.
I think
Do it right away.
It's
for dinner
tomorrow.
and the movie.
Today, I think, is the final
Yeah, we need
deadline.
to, yeah.
Anyway, the day that they thaw the meat. I mean, that's the deadline because they're going to thaw what we're going to serve, and that's how much we'll buy.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay, very good. And then the tickets will still be the same as 20 or 15
Yeah.
for the older people. And then the movie is $5.
Movie's $5.
Okay, all right, very good. And that number again, that's the PBS, just like you're going to PBS.
That's
The
right.
number again.
You gonna give it?
Yeah, you had give it, listen more to you. than me.
785-282-6682.
And we'll mention it one more
And
time.
that's the People's Bank.
Yeah, okay.
Well, and Tammy just whispered to me here that the ticket for the dinner is just the ticket for the dinner.
Sure, yeah.
The movie is another $5.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
they're not included.
Okay. All right. If you're available Saturday morning, I'd like to have you on Sports Talk. I know you can't. So can I ask a couple of sports questions?
Sure. Yeah, I'm tied up Saturday,
Yeah.
unless we go live from our brunch at the country club.
Okay. Anyway, Mitch, I've known Mitch for a long time. Do you remember that the American Legion baseball game I was doing over there? Was that your first broadcast experience?
Well, and
You were in
actually,
high school, you
I was
know.
in high school. Yeah, that plus I did a report for you, the Smith Center School report that I produced and wrote and put together. That was kind of and you guys put it on air, and so that might have been the first, basically, where I'd actually write, produce, perform.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I take credit for getting
Yes, you
started?
can. I've given you. I believe me. Hey, you're my mentor. So.
Okay, I was doing a baseball game, American Legion, and he came down and we put you on there, and I think you kept scoring. We did, that was good. Then things went on, and then later I kind of lost track. After they graduate from school, high school, you lose track, and then I didn't have a sports talk then or anything. So, and years later, I don't know, not too long later, I was at state track, and up there in Tesla Stadium, and I heard this voice that I recognized. That sounds like Mitch Holthus. And you're up there doing the track for a Pratt radio station.
That was
right?
my first spot. Yeah, we covered 35 high schools.
Yeah.
And out of Pratt. Yeah.
And then what's Mitch doing? And then you told me about it. And then you got to be the voice of the K-State Wildcats.
Yep.
How long were you there?
12 years.
12 years.
12 years as play-by-play voice, and another year I did the sideline and for football, and then color for basketball. So 13
years,
total.
okay.
Yeah.
And I always thought you were going to be an attorney, you know.
I thought about doing that too, but
Anyway,
life always takes turns, twists and turns.
Oh, sure does. And then you're there for the Chiefs. And how long have you been doing that for?
Well, just getting started. This will be my 25th year, the
I
voice
didn't
of the
realize
Chiefs.
You've been that long.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's been a good run, hasn't it?
It has been. We'd like to have more success in the postseason, but we're excited. As long as you're kicking on the door, you got a chance to kick the door down. It's when you don't make any dents in the door that you can't get it done. But we're excited about our future and what we've been able to do in the off season.
And Salina General about every other day has a story on the Chiefs in there. And,
pretty much, yeah.
And they, in fact, last night I was watching TV and they had the preseason schedule.
Yep.
Green Bay is the last game of the preseason, I think.
Yep.
And
we were just going through that yesterday, Tammy and I, on the way up.
New quarterback.
Well, we're excited about Patrick Mahomes. It's an ambivalent feeling. It's a happy, sad feeling. Just that we really appreciate Alex Smith and what he did for 5 years. I mean, 50 wins in 5 years. We're 16-2 against the AFC West in the last 3 years. That's the best in Chiefs history, but it's also the best of any NFL team against their division in that 3 years, any team. And a lot of that was due to Alex Smith, obviously. 2 times in his career, he has been close or set the record for fewest giveaways. He just didn't turn it over, doesn't turn it over. We wish him best in Washington. Tough to see him walk out the door, and Tammy got to know Alex and Elizabeth, and they're amazing people. But we're excited about Patrick Mahomes. We wouldn't have made that move if we didn't have the confidence in Patrick. He's a talent, and he really is unique in the fact that we haven't had anybody close to his talent in my 25 years as the voice of the Chiefs. So that's kind of where we start. He only had 1 regular season game last year, but he was very impressive against Denver.
Okay. Right. And, of course, you not only the Chiefs, you do Missouri Valley, a lot of Valley,
Big 12 and Missouri Valley.
Basketball, there's Mitch there.
Once
in a while,
stumble
your dad's
into
there.
me.
You know, I came to Sprint Center that one year, before Christmas, and everyone was sitting behind you there.
I dragged him up to Northern Iowa. I think he got sick because of that. Because Northern Iowa was the coldest place in Division I. But it's enjoyed college basketball as well. So cover most of the Big 12 teams, and then had a lot of the Valley. Had Loyola 6 times, so I saw that incredible run coming. Yeah.
And so, and I was thinking this morning about things I was going to ask you, and you remember Silver Lake played Smith Center at state championship? You remember? I think your son was a sophomore quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And you were somewhere.
I was in Seattle.
I knew you were way out.
I missed the game.
And so you kept checking with us on how the game was going. You remember that?
I did.
Yeah.
I did, and I was fidgety and working. That was where 2 worlds collided. Of course, growing up in Smith Center and playing for Smith Center, but now our son was with Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Tammy can tell the story, though, because she put it on Dad because she was giving him the Dickens. You can tell the story. That if you could, blood's thicker than
that was tough, wasn't it? That was tough.
What they told me I'd do, they told me I wore Smith Center shirt, but I had to put on my big K-State parka over the top of that so nobody could see it. But see, later on, they also played, when Haley was playing, they also played in girls basketball championship against
Right,
each other.
right.
And at that time, Kathy and I attended both of those games, and so we actually changed shirts during the day because we would wear Smith Center when Smith Center was playing. Well, then they wound up playing for the championship, so then we had to wear Silver Lake. The blood did get thicker than water,
yeah,
but
Tammy was on the coaching staff for that, and Haley, our daughter, was a
Really?
junior
playing. So I got
against Smith Center. It was,
Oh, yeah.
that was rough.
What do you do, you know?
But you got to tell the story because Tammy
Well,
had laid
I-
it out.
I-
She gave the ground rules.
They
today.
were going to sit with me on the Silver Lake side, so
Okay.
I said, "Okay, that's awesome, but you can't yell for Smith Center." Then, and they didn't. They were really good. They
Yeah.
they
and those
supported
are
their
people who
grandson.
know me. That's tough.
Yeah.
He just sat there. But I did, the other funny thing, Tad, was that I'm in Seattle and I'm fidgety because we're getting ready to play the Seahawks,
Sure,
but I'm
yeah.
wondering, how's this game going? Because two of my worlds colliding here. And I asked Tammy, I said, I was on the phone with her. I don't know, was this before cell phones? I said, how did,
Yeah, that was.
I go, what's Smith Center? What do they look like? She goes, they look like Nebraska. so it's like, anyway, it was, yeah, we would have liked it better had it been somebody else.
Sure,
but,
right.
but it was interesting that with our kids in school, both had to play for a state championship against
Yeah.
my alma mater.
Silver Lake was always up there in football, and Smith Center was always up there in football.
Still that way. They're two
Yeah.
great programs, and Peeberg's done an awesome job
Yeah.
with their program. But yeah, we've been fortunate. And if you're not an athlete, make sure you marry an athlete. And Tammy's on there. I'm going to brag her up at McPherson. She was a state champion track athlete, played at K-State. She was K-State's point guard for years, and she's on the Ring of Honor at McPherson. But there's communities that are very dear to us, Smith Center being one, McPherson another.
McPherson, you know, they must have both
Something in the
boys and
water.
girls on their program.
It's
the
tradition.
girls particularly, the boys are starting to come along there. Do all the girls? I've always said that probably every driveway has a basketball
Just
goal
about,
in McPherson, right?
just about, and they're very active in their summer program.
Yeah.
They do a lot of off season work.
But I have
They don't like Bishop Miege very much, so we just say that.
so you in at state track?
I did.
What in?
The hurdles,
The
and
hurdles,
sprints.
the ones or the threes, both the 100.
Yeah, back then,
What they have?
it was yards. It wasn't
Oh, yeah,
meters.
I know,
So
okay,
it was the
yeah.
lows, 100 yard hurdles,
yard,
110 yard hurdles. Yeah,
And the highs? Did you?
I didn't do highs.
I wouldn't want to do the highs
No.
either. I don't know. So I probably.
Probably called her.
I
You
did.
probably
I probably
did.
did. I don't want to ask the question when
It would
that
have been
was.
74
Oh,
was
okay.
a state championship for me, and 75 I actually took second.
Okay.
Haven't gotten
I
over that
started
one.
doing state
Teresa Everett
track.
from Hutchinson.
State track in '69, and I was the only radio station there. Only radio, and then they got doing track. How do you do track? Well, you just do track.
just
you
do
know,
it, yeah.
Give results, and of course, in the early, remember how they used to have to run the stuff up, and they didn't
Oh,
have,
yeah,
they
didn't have
didn't have
all
the
of it.
screen there and
Yeah.
all that. I mean, you had to wait until they got the handwritten results, the top six, before you could actually give it. Then that goes back a ways there. So
That's why you're in the Hall of Fame.
No,
You're a pioneer. Oh, yeah.
I've got to ask you, and you do, college basketball or anything. What's going to happen with all this scholarship and the money under the table? And all that? I mean, I'm not just because KU is involved. Any school could be involved. Anyone can have an alumni will give money and stuff like that. This is a commercial thing. This was done by. What's the answer to this?
Well, it's tough. Now, it's very difficult because it does get close to home
Yeah.
because of Kansas' close relationship with Adidas. And right now, Adidas is under the most scrutiny, of course, with the FBI investigation. And it's going to go on for a while, and I'm not sure it's going to be a good thing for that. But it is the positive here is that college basketball needs to clean up, basically. There's too much emphasis or too much influence that comes from third parties, whether that's AAU programs or the shoe companies. The shoe companies finance the AAU programs. AAU programs try to get to the players so that they can get they have their stamp basically on who they think are the future stars. But then they want to control those players, and the shoe companies do, or the AAU programs do. And so as a result, we talk about recruiting. It's very different today. I'll just give you an example. I just talked to a bunch of coaches earlier this week where If you go to recruit now, and you go to an AAU tournament, they charge you $350 for a program. Yeah, so if you're going to list like all the Peaburg guys, let's say if you're going to a high school game at Peaburg, it would cost you $350 just to get a sheet of paper. That's because it's just what's happening. And honestly, that's where the FBI is involved, because basically there's fraudulent action going on and basically brokering kids to go to schools. But college basketball needs to clean up. I will say this, and I don't want it to make any KU fans mad, but this tournament was a very strong indication and message given by two teams, Villanova and Loyola, because those two teams showed how to play the game. There is no FBI report on Villanova or Loyola, and those teams built organically, but they also were very unselfish. They were great at passing the ball. People go, well, Villanova could really shoot it. What's lost there is the fact that they move without the ball, and they pass the ball so well. They're very unselfish. And college basketball needs to, I call the Valley the America's Renaissance Conference. Missouri Valley Conference is really interesting. Nobody around here really, now that Wichita State's out of the league, really follows it that closely unless there's local kids like the Kansas City kids that played for Loyola. But that league, I call it America's Renaissance Conference, and there's a reason that I do, because of the way they play the game. And it is a renaissance of how it should be played. There also needs to be a renaissance in recruiting. And that players go to college for college, or choose a college because, or they choose Kansas State or the University of Kansas or the University of Nebraska because they want to play sports there, but because of that campus and the educational value there, not just to be there for a year or two, or to be brokered by a shoe company to go there. That's the crux of the matter, and it's going to be no fun, but it needs to be cleaned up.
These one and out things, I just, and some don't even, well, look at Preston, and he never even made it in, and that may be a good thing from the standpoint.
Well, let's just take KU for a second, and if your son was here, who are the top two? We could chat, but think of the top players for Kansas the last couple of years. It has been Devontae Graham and Frank Mason. Those two, when they came out of their high school years, and that's a whole other thing, is the prep schools. That's because there's that's a whole other discussion. But Devontae Graham and Frank Mason were not highly recruited. Towson, Maryland, and Appalachian State, they both stayed 4 years. They both built organically. They both built. The best teams Kansas has had, honestly, not from a standpoint of talent, but what they got done and what was accomplished at Kansas, were not the one and dones. I mean, Wiggins didn't get to the Final Four. You can go right down the line. Josh Jackson didn't get to the Final Four, got close, but didn't get there. But Devontae Graham did. And so there's other strong message there. You may lose a year where you don't win the league, but you build a team and build players that want to be there and be there for 3 or 4 years and know how to play the game.
And I think that's the secret, to get someone maybe not be the top, get someone who can develop in those 4 years,
But here's the other thing, Ted, and I'll say this too, and I'm not going to just say it's Adidas, because I think Under Armour and Nike is going to get involved in this too. So let's say you want to do that. If you're tied in financially at a very high level, like hundreds of millions of dollars from a shoe company going to a school, you will take their kids.
Sure.
So if this show is sponsored by Adidas, they're going to dictate who your people are and waiting to be interviewed. You're not going to dictate it.
You think the college kids should be paid a little to go to school, to go to college while they're still in college? You think, they used to pay them to wind the electric clock and this kind of stuff, And I don't know how much. Maybe they do get a little.
They get
money.
a stipend. They get more now than they've ever received.
Think,
No,
okay.
I don't. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I'm not either.
No. I'll tell you another game. I had Marquette and Harvard this year on ESPN in the NIT, and so I was around Harvard, and Tommy Amaker, who coached at Duke. And Harvard's very good, and they don't give athletic scholarships, as we know. It's the Ivy League, but there was a 6'9" player from Atlanta for Harvard who could play on any Big 12 team. He may even be a pro, but he won't elect to do that. But his emphasis is on underwater robotics. He's this brilliant kid from Atlanta that said, I'm going to make a life decision, not a basketball decision. There was something refreshing about being around Harvard or the other programs where you can be very highly successful, but it's not just a complete being a mercenary. And so that's where the schools have got to rethink all of this. And I know they get millions and millions of dollars from the shoe companies, but it has to be rethought.
Yeah, well.
You touched a nerve there, buddy.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm fine. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
because, the ordinary fan who looks at this, Jamie Christensen, would you watch us basketball? Do you go to a lot of games with Mitch?
When he flies, I don't typically go. If he's driving and I can get away, I'll go with him just to
I've heard
have some
that.
time,
I heard that
just to have some time together.
So he can work on this stuff, and when I was doing high school stuff, I did. You kind of keep track that day of the game. At the afternoon, you put your stuff all together. You start about 4 days ahead of time.
Well, even if I've got him, as soon as I get my schedule, I'll start working a little bit at a time on him. I'll give you a story, and then she can embellish it. But many times, the scheduling at ESPN, I'm at the mercy of them.
Sure, right.
And so they had me scheduled in a game at Oklahoma State. At 8:30 is the start time. It's like, who starts a
Saturday night.
Central Time game at 8:30 on a Saturday night? Central Time. The next day, they scheduled me for a 3 o'clock game in Terre Haute, Indiana. So we're sitting there going, how are we going to do this? The only way was to leave Stillwater about 12:30 or 1 in the morning
Yeah, wow.
and start driving. So it was going to be like a truck driver.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the story. So I said, here we go. I said, it's like we're overnight truckers. We got to get there. And we split up the driving.
Wow.
I put on a bunch of C.W. McCall songs, and she was like, get rid of those songs.
And I know you're part of the industry, but TV. I was going to go see the KU game play one time at 2 in the afternoon, and the TV said no, it was going to be 11 in the morning on Saturday on the football game. So it was 11. So Bob Davis had it Tuesday night. So I called him the next Tuesday night, and I said, Bob, I have a question. He said, well, I recognize that voice. And I said, and we talked back and forth a little bit on that. I said, does TV control what you said? They tell you when you're coming on to the things. They tell you what happens.
Yeah.
And because it's the money, it's a money thing.
But this is my driver sometimes, and we split up the driving. But she coached and played.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She gets all of that and understands the game, and she's very helpful.
Boy, it has been great. When I heard I would have come over there and talked to you. We were going to do it by phone. And last night when you called and said, yeah, you'd be over here. And man, oh man, that's great. Because we've known each other for a long, long time. Mitch, and congratulations. You go around the country and I've heard your inspirational speeches too. And do you call them inspirational or?
Well, I hope they are. You get emails from people that it's been life changing for them. Then if you impact people's lives, it's worth it. So,
Eldine, do you ever think he'd be doing all this?
Well, we always knew he was pretty sharp.
Yeah.
But never, this is beyond everything that happens in our lives. That he. But Kathy and I were extremely proud of him and Tammy and their. And even though they're on a national scale, they still always remember where they came from, and they're very kind. She takes good care of her parents, and they take good care of me. And it just there's lots of people who have made achievements that forget where they came from, and Mitch and Tammy have never forgotten where they came from.
I know, because I understand. You mentioned this part of the country on your broadcasts and stuff.
But it's special. You are too, Tad. We thank you for every opportunity we can have to come over here. It's a great time, and thank you a lot.
Okay, well, hey, it's all on me, and I text Mark last night, and my son, and that you played against him, and he said, I'm really a little jealous of Mitch. I wish I had done something, he did all right in what he did too.
He's a doctor. He's saving lives. So I don't know if I've saved any lives or delivered babies or diagnosed any diseases. But but we're proud. We're proud of local athletes too, and they do well. I mean, Sean Newland, what he's been able to do, and there's a lot of stories in this region. But when I do a Chiefs game, I go through every player closely, and I'll always mention the local players. If it's a Nebraska player. Or if they're from the Chiefs' kingdom, so to speak, they'll always get mentioned just because it means a lot to us.
I was in New York in January, went to the Barclays Center, saw the Knicks play the Nets. Beasley had 23 points, and Baker played almost the whole ball game, and then he had his injury, But so there's a lot of, you look for the people from this area and
Yes,
what they do,
absolutely.
Okay, very good. Okay, you want to mention the number again if they want to go to that meal?
Yeah, well, here we go. I mean, we can go through it. You want to start going through the day?
Go ahead.
The brunch is going to be in the morning at the country club, and we'll basically do something like this. We're going to focus maybe on the NFL, and then hope and talk about the future of the cabin and the site. But then the pickleball, we'll have a clinic at 1 o'clock to get everybody rolling, and then the tournament begins at 2:30. Then the supper will begin at 6:30, and then the movie will follow that. But it's 282-6682. And I think the thing we want to emphasize, too, because it's for the whole region. Like, we've seen South Central Nebraska really embrace the cabin as well. Dad mentioned, I mean, we had Napanee, Bloomington, Franklin, and Alma fire departments respond to that fire call that saved the cabin. But this is really a regional. The cabin's a regional source of pride, and just imagine if someday we have a huge concert out there, the economic impact will be felt all throughout the region. So this isn't just a Smith County thing.
Sure. Who was it? And I was trying to think a couple of years ago, who was the country singer that really?
Michael Martin Murphy.
Yeah.
Michael Martin Murphy.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a national sponsor for us, and he's just he bends over backwards because you talk about having phone numbers and stuff. I have his cell phone number, which not a whole lot of people have, and he'll always answer. And he made a point to call me when I was sick when they were in the State House, and so he's great to have on a national stage to have him as our support.
Oh, yeah.
And he's one of several, but in the cowboy music, he's just a great one. So, yeah,
Very good.
we got.
Okay. Well, I'll let
Thank
you
you.
get back to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank you,
lot.
Ted.
Thank you,
Tammy,
Ted.
LD and Mitch, we appreciate. You ever get this way again? Well, I could spend another 2 hours here. I have a lot of other questions I want to ask, about game day and all that. We'll get it next time. There.
It's
Thanks
an
for
award-winning
coming.
podcast. What can I say? It's awesome to be on. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mitch. We'll see you. Okay. And again, I recommend the Home on the Range Spring Celebration coming up. Well, I think we may have another, at least one or two out there wanting to come on this morning. Is anyone else out there?
Yep, we got Morris.
Okay. Oh, Morris. It was Morris. No, I didn't know. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't know whether it was you or whether it was Nick. Okay. And in fact, I tried to call over this morning, and you must have maybe I called too early or something. Anyway. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to alert everyone to get the word out that next Wednesday evening we're having a seminar at the E-Center, and this is we're highlighting how to be a good customer service representative for your business, and we're gearing this to anybody if you're currently in a retail or service position, or if you're looking for a job. And this is just to say, hey, I'd be a good employee to represent the business. We're going to have a little section on telephone etiquette because the difference.
Oh, the telephone etiquette.
You can always tell when somebody answers with a smile, and that really is helpful. And sometimes you get people that you can tell they're having a bad day.
Or sometimes you get people you can't understand.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about on this telephone thing.
And then we're going to have a part of this seminar is going to be on some interviewing techniques because to land that job you've got to stand out in your interview.
Sure.
So next Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 8, no charge. We will have some refreshments. It'll be well worth, I think, the time. And I just need people to pre-register if they could.
And and I think it's important if you're a boss out there.
Yeah,
it's very
we
important.
recommend it
It's to your advantage if you're in retail, particularly maybe, but that probably. Be sure that you might suggest to your employees they go because
encourage them to come on
out. Because they're going to. Well, it helps them and it helps the business and everything.
Well, and Jackie Beckman, who is from the Next Tech Roundup for Youth, and she does seminars with high schoolers and others a lot. So it's going to be someone who's really experienced in coaching and doing that kind of thing for businesses. And then we've got a couple of local ladies who do a lot of interviewing, and they're going to show some, some war stories about
Oh, well.
somebody shows up in their flannel pajama bottoms and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So it'll
yeah.
just be an all around interesting evening. So I just wanted to get the word out, and call me at the foundation 540-4110. Or shoot me an email, pccf@ruraltel.net, and just say, hey, I'm going to come. So we'll get them signed up.
And as a customer, you remember the places where you're
Oh, yeah.
treated well, or where where they
Yeah.
like it's a job and I don't
Yeah.
want to be here kind of thing.
Well, they say a bad experience, you tell 7 people or
Sure.
something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
and you
so-
do that. You
yeah.
say, I wouldn't go back there for
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
And it just spreads. So I think now when is that? Next Wednesday.
Next
night?
Wednesday evening, the 18th, 5:30 at the East Center. So just come in the front door of the Fisher Building. And,
Is it a limited? How many
I
can
think
handle?
no. We're not using computers, so
Sure.
we can even set up extra chairs.
Okay,
and
so-
that'd be great if we
So
could
just
do
show
that.
up, or you want to?
I'd like to pre-register because I am going to have refreshments, and I'd like to know
Sure.
about how many.
Right.
you
Okay.
know,
And what's that number?
540-4110 or pccf@ruraltel.net.
Are you in the phone book?
I don't know. That's a good question. I've
That's
never
what-
looked me up. If we are, it would be the Phillips County Community
Yeah,
Foundation.
Phillips County Community Foundation. Because
Yeah.
you have a landline.
Yes.
Well, okay, you're in the
Yeah.
phone book. You have a
Yeah,
landline.
okay,
Okay.
all
Yeah.
right, good.
Yeah. So it'll be in there.
Yeah.
And if you can't get the numbers, a lot of times they'll give a number, and eventually I end up going to the phone book anyway and
Yeah.
getting it out of there because I don't remember
All
or
right.
something to write the number.
Thank
down.
you. Appreciate the
Well,
time to get the word
and
out.
it's a good idea to help sales and to just be on top of what's going on. Do I have anyone else out there? Angie's out there. Wow. I think we're going to set a record this morning. I think Angie's the last one. We have a nice area out there, not a wait in though.
That's right. You're chatty Cathy today. Holy moly,
Yeah,
man.
it's a busy morning.
That's right.
Okay, how are things going?
Well, okay.
Now, this was the Chamber and Main Street, right?
Chamber Main Street, but first I'm putting on a different hat. I'm going to be talking about post-prom.
Okay.
So I wanted everyone to know what's going to be happening because we're supposed to be getting in that bad weather and
Is that this Saturday?
that's tomorrow
Wow.
and a chance of Saturday, and it's going to be really cold, chance
Yeah.
of snow, chance of everything, and
Yeah.
Rachel and I have these pretty girls and these pretty dresses and these handsome boys and these handsome tuxes, and we're like, oh my gosh! But anyway, so I want to tell you about this. Okay.
Okay.
So the red carpet event is usually at the courthouse.
Sure.
Okay, so we're changing that this year. So please listen to me. The Phillipsburg High School Post-Prom Committee would like to say thank you to the community, local businesses, and families for their continued support throughout the years to make prom and post-prom a safe and fun-filled evening for our youth. As another way to say thank you, we would like to invite you to this year's red carpet event. Okay, so this year's event has been moved inside due to the pending weather. So if it's not pending weather, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
and you never know.
That's right. It will be held Saturday, April 14th in the Chuck Newland Gym at the high school from 7 to 8 p.m. The students and their dates will enter the gym through the southeast entrance and walk the red carpet where our MC, Doug Valley, will greet them and introduce them to the crowd.
Okay.
Okay. The couples will then proceed down the red carpet and out the northwest door to the foyer by Mr. Bowman's office. This will be designated area for taking pictures if they would like to. There will be plenty of seating available in the gym where you can stay warm and dry. So come out and show the kids your continued support. We will have the parking lot directly in front of the school designated for the kids parking.
Okay.
So that will be blocked
Sure.
off. And so don't park in front of theirs because we're going to have the kids' vehicles
Sure.
parked there. So we ask that you park in the southern part of the parking lot. So you may have to walk a little bit, but we want the kids, they got heels on. Hopefully people that come to watch them won't have heels on. But
I've seen them go to prom in tennis shoes.
well, that's
They
true.
don't call
That's
them tennis
true.
shoes anymore.
Who would have thought prom and snow boots? But you don't know about Kansas weather.
Yeah.
I do pray for the moisture, but I just wish it wasn't on events that I have planned.
Yeah, right. And you seem
But
to
that's
be
okay.
But I think a weatherman must look at you and
I
say,
think
"Oh,
so."
get a list of Angie's things. and
I
then-
know. It's just like all the time. There's just something. The weather always does something. And about weather, so there's also a chance of weather next Friday when it's my girls' night out event. So, you know,
Okay,
like you said, yes, weather. But anyway, that's April 20th, next Friday, 4 to 8. Got some great businesses around town participating. We're going to have a good old time.
We'll have
and
specials, some
a
of
lot
them
of
understand.
specials. It's going to start on Facebook, all the specials that everyone's having. I'm working on the bags, getting the maps all done. You should have got inserts in the papers about kind of what's going on, who's all participating. So it's going to be a great time. But we usually have those sidewalk things on the sidewalks that I go and put sticky stuff on and hit them down in front of the businesses. I think I'm going to wait till Sunday or Monday to
Yeah.
do that to make sure that they stick. So if you don't see them right now, that's the reason. I'm waiting on the
Okay.
weather.
And then after that, they all meet, all the ladies meet somewhere?
At the Brandy Iron 2 is where
Okay.
we're meeting, and it's going to be a casino night. So I don't know if that means we're playing cards. I don't know if that just means it's a
Bring a
theme.
bunch of slots, roulette.
I don't have
and
any.
then-
Do you have any slot
I
machines?
no, I don't have any slots. If I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, no, I think we can do some card games.
Sure.
We can have some pool thing. We can just do, it's just going to be great. I don't know. Peggy Winters, she always sets up really neat at the Branding Iron, so I don't know what she's got planned, but it's going to be amazing.
Sure,
So
okay,
it's going to be a
wow.
fun time.
Okay.
And then we'll have our annual cruise. Good weather. Saturday, April 21st, and that is sponsored by Phillips County Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so we will have from 6 to 7 at the Sonic, and Sonic's going to do a meal deal that night. 2 burgers, 2 fries, 2 drinks for $9.99.
Wow.
So you can go out and enjoy yourself there. And then 7 to 9 will be our cruise up and down State Street. The next thing is, of course, the ducks. They're going to be starting to sell the ducks. I thought they already had, but I talked to him this morning and he hadn't given to the kids, so they're going to start selling them, getting the packets tomorrow, and then start selling them. So,
Okay.
yeah, the ducks are still out there quacking, but it's just, not being sold
June
yet.
30th is when is it?
June 30th at 10:30 at the pool. Yep, is when that's going to happen.
Okay, so it'll be the same, as always been at that end, but this end, they're doing it differently with the kids selling the.
Right.
Selling it.
Right.
Okay,
yes.
now what?
So there's first place $300, second place $150, third place $75, last place $25. You can adopt your ducks, $5 a piece. Family of ducks is 5 for $20. Flock of ducks is 10 for $40. Oodles of ducks is 25 for $75. Now, like I said before, whatever the class makes, the freshman class makes $1,000. They get half of that.
Okay.
So it's a moneymaker for them, for the students. So please support the students. And then, that we're also doing a pizza party for the winner of whoever sells the
sure,
most.
okay.
And then our prize money has to come out of the sum.
Okay.
And so it's not a big moneymaker for Phillipsburg Chamber and Main Street, but it's a fundraiser for mainly the kids.
Sure.
Is what
well,
we're
it's-
wanting to
it's
do.
the money, and of course, have the fun chance to win things and
Yep.
all that. So that.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be a good time. But yes, so that's all I have. I don't know.
How'd the ribbon cutting over last night for
It
the
was
airport?
great. It was really great. We had a lot of people come, and that terminal looks amazing.
out there and look
They
at that.
had before and after pictures, and those guys, I wish they were out to hire because they did a great job. And did you know that there was between 8,000 and 8,500 touchdowns at
Yeah,
our
I didn't
airport a
realize
year?
that. I don't think people realize that many people fly in and out.
Yes, and that's just, it could be a touchdown, could be flying, could be anything, but that is just amazing. I was just like in shock, but it is so nice out there. And then we did the ribbon cutting, and our mayor got to do the cutting
Yeah.
with the scissors. I was kind of worried. He was like, "How do I hold them?" And I was like, "Do not cut me," but it was kind of funny. So. But no, great turnout. Really happy that things are starting to develop here at Phillipsburg, and we're all working together, and that's what we need to do. We all have to work together.
Tim, I think it was Tim, said the fact that people flying in, never been here before, and flying in and using it wasn't a very good way to see Phillipsburg for
Right,
the first time.
right, mhm.
Now it is.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
with the terminal and everything.
Oh yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah.
So nice out there. So
Okay, well.
yeah, but we had cookies and drinks out there last night, and just a lot of people stayed and visit, and some
Sure.
people that came out that said, "Oh, I've never been here before. I wanted to check it out."
Yeah.
Great. That's what it's all about.
is.
That's what ribbon cuttings are for. Everyone's invited. Grand openings. I mean, if you have something, let me know. I mean, that's what I'm here for. That's what I love. So
Okay, and the airport can handle twin engine.
Yeah.
They can't handle Air Force One or anything like, or the Concorde or anything like that. But they can handle.
We'll
they can
figure it
handle
out.
other stuff. Yeah, very good. Okay.
we'll figure it out.
Well,
so.
well, Lindsay, thank you, and we hope
Thank you.
we hope that things go well Saturday for prom. I didn't
Me
realize it was
too.
prom time again.
Yes.
Did you go to prom every year
Yes.
when you were in school?
Yes, I did.
You're
I
supposed
did.
to ask me if I did.
Did you?
No.
Why
I-
not?
I-
You're such a handsome guy. Why
no,
not?
no, I was so scared of girls in high school. I didn't have a date in high school.
Oh.
And we'd always go over on prom night. They always had a carnival in Dodge City.
Uh-huh.
So a bunch of us guys would always go over to Dodge City to the carnival on that, and then come back. And then we got back in time for them painting the water tower. They always painted the water tower.
But we're not doing that.
I
yeah.
never climbed up, but we had a gal that did always climb. She was senior. She climbed up and
In her
painted
dress?
the water tower. Yeah, yeah.
In her dress?
Yeah.
Really?
I heard her. Then she dropped the paint. You hear the pail of paint coming down, and she always paint Buffalo's 75. You know, I remember.
Wow.
But I went to the carnival.
So did you go to prom anytime?
No,
No, not at all.
I never went because I was too scared to ask the girl to go.
Oh, Tad. Well, yeah. No, it's
Now
a
you know
good
the
time.
truth. Anyway.
It's a good time, and why we do this post prom is to try to keep the kids
Sure.
together, and you know, I mean, it's just a way of us parents trying to protect them for a weekend,
Post-prom
and
is
it's just a great time for all them to, especially the seniors, to be together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one last time that we know they're together, and we have all of us parents that just enjoy that so
Well,
much.
that's a great. They didn't have it when I was in school. They didn't, you know.
Yeah.
I guess they went to the dance.
Mhm.
They had a banquet, went to the dance, and went home or whatever.
Mhm.
And I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, we got inflatables. We got a mechanical bull. I told you about that.
Yeah.
Got a mechanical bull. We got I think a dodgeball tournament going on. We got card games. We got just a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm gonna have the photo booth there so they can take pictures. We got the prizes. You know, we want to thank everyone that's donated prizes and just everyone who showed support. So.
Okay, well, hope you have things go well.
Hope the
and,
weather. I know it's
okay.
gonna. Even if it doesn't snow, it's supposed to be cold and windy.
Yeah,
so we
right,
still
yeah.
need to have it inside. And so please don't judge us for what we're doing, but we
Well,
don't know what else to do.
You got to do it ahead of time.
That's right.
It's kind of hard at Saturday afternoon at 4 to decide you're going to do something different.
That's right.
Okay,
Unless we're gonna have a tadpole again, I don't know, but no, we're gonna have it inside. So.
All right, thank
okay,
you, Andy. We'll
thanks.
see
Have
you.
a good
Thank
day.
Yeah, you have a good post prom too.
Thanks.
Okay. I bet you did go to every prom, didn't you? Oh, did you go to every prom, Rachel? Okay. I feel probably anyway. We'll see. I think we almost set. I think we set a record today. Great interviews. I enjoyed, and of course, with having Mitch and Tammy and Eldine here, that it kind of makes special to bring it in. So I guess that's going to do it next week. Here we have scheduled. I think we're going to have Bill Schick back in. Dave Kelson and Gary Beals will be coming back in to talk about the cleanup next that week from Saturday. They always do go around and help people who can't do some of the cleanup, carry stuff out and so on. They'll be coming talk about that. Gary and Dave. Bill Schick, I mentioned, will be talking about some of the concerts. Kelsey Pinkerton, who just got back from Branson, along with our producer and director this morning, had a good time down there. He went to the place where they throw rolls at you, and I think she's going to bring some amendment people on next Thursday morning. That'll be neat to talk to them what that experience is like. Ken Rogers said he'd try to make talk about what's happening in the government. They're on break right now, and he said we'd try to get Billinger from out around Goodland is in our area, and also the name escapes me from Concordia. Yeah, Senator Bowers he'd try to maybe get all three of them on here. I don't know if we can do that, but Ken said he'd try to work it out. So, well, again, a busy one. Again, the number to call, 785-282-6682 for that supper entertainment at the high school gym in Smith Center. This is part of the 2018 Home on the Range Spring Celebration. And we'll see you Saturday morning Sports Talk. We know Thunder Ridge will be there. Darren will be stopping by. Andy Kenny will be stopping by. And hopefully we'll have Keith on to talk about they have golf today?
They had golf yesterday.
Golf, yes.
Not yesterday, Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay. We'll be talking with Keith about that. That's next door, Saturday morning, 9 o'clock on the Sports Talk. So, again, thank you, Rachel, for letting us come in here and do this. And we thank the sponsors for helping us sponsoring the program and everything. So we'll see you Saturday morning, next Thursday morning right here on the Tadpoll.